Hello everyone, good afternoon. We are about to do a long walk. We're going to be walking the entire length of 21st Avenue. We are starting to walk on Shore Parkway, about to turn onto 21st Avenue. Very windy today. And I say we, down here on the coast, the coastal communities, the beaches, we're under a gale warning and a marine warning for very high winds down here. So you're going to notice, you probably already notice it, but it is very windy down here. We've got winds at about 20 miles an hour, gusting up to like 30, 35. So almost like a weak thunderstorm kind of wind. And so yeah, we're under a gale winds warning down here, but it'll be interesting to see how these winds progress as we get inland. And we are going to be inland because we are going to walk the entire length of 21st Avenue, which we just got on right now. This is, I like to call it 21st Avenue Park, but officially it's called Bensonhurst Park. But yeah, you can see these trees are dancing today. Temperatures are, the breeze helps, but the temperature officially is 90, and the humidity is pretty high. The humidity is 75%, and I feel it. It just feels nasty, you know. Very sticky. If you grip your hand, it feels like there's glue in your hand. It's like they got that kind of horrible feeling. It's not a comfortable feeling. So you'll be sweating before you're even sweating. But the high winds definitely help. The high winds definitely cool you off. But it's still hot. So like I said, 90 degrees. And the humidity is up at 75%. So for you heat index people, it feels like 100. So it pretty much, feels as hot as yesterday's walk. So really, it's like a repeat of yesterday. I will say this: 95 dry is better than 90 humid, because it just, for those of you that live in Florida know what I'm talking about. Humidity is a totally different animal. But anybody living up here knows too. I mean, during the summer times here in New York, it gets very humid and doesn't feel quite comfortable. Like I said, it'll be interesting to see if the winds cut down as we get inland. Typically, when we have gale warnings down here on the coast, those don't apply to people inland, because by the time you get inland, a lot of the artificial barriers like buildings and streets kind of cut the wind down. We don't have any natural or artificial barriers down here. We're on the coast, so we get hit with the brunt of the winds. But good thing is the wind is on our back, and we should get a little push, a little helpful push on this walk. We are crossing Cropsey. As far as the neighborhoods, we are in Bensonhurst. We will be walking through two neighborhoods. We'll be in Bensonhurst for the most of the walk, up till about 65th Street. And we're not even at 86th Street yet, so it just goes to show you how long this walk is going to be. But we're going to be going down to 52nd Street, if I'm correct. The last time I did this walk a while back, we're going to run into 52nd Street where Dahill Road crosses in front, and that's where we'll end it. And if I didn't mention, the second neighborhood we'll be crossing through when we get to 65th Street is a neighborhood that not a lot of people know about. It's like a very unheard of neighborhood, but the name of the neighborhood is Mapleton. That's a real neighborhood in Brooklyn, if anybody ever asks you. Now when we get down to like the 70s, and then when we get down to like the 50s, we're going to be bordering two other neighborhoods that we could very easily cross into if we chose to. The first one is Gravesend. So if when we get to 78th Street, you can walk down 78th Street, you end up on Kings Highway, and you're immediately in Gravesend, Brooklyn. We're going to cross Bath Avenue. And then when we get to the end of the walk, we're literally on the border of Mapleton and Midwood. Like if you cross Dahill Road, you're in Midwood. So, and right across from Dahill Road, if you go down a one block, is Avenue J over by McDonald's Avenue where the F train is. So that's the Midwood area. So even though we're going to be walking through two neighborhoods, we're going to be pretty much almost going through four neighborhoods. I'll tell you, that sun is hot. The sun just came out and it is hot. Oof. Never ceases to amaze me when you have high temperatures, high humidity, and the sun goes away into the clouds and then comes back out. It's like two different biomes. Now, 21st Avenue is 95, well, I'll say 98% residential. We're going to hit a small little commercial area where there's some grocery stores, pizza place, Asian takeout, and then you guessed it, that's on 86th Street, which is about a block and a half down. But for the most part, 21st Avenue is a residential strip. Pretty much mixed Italian, Russian, Asian, Mexican, Spanish. As we get in closer to Mapleton, we'll see the Hasidic community. The Hasidic community, this is actually the synagogue here on the corner of 21st and Benson here, is a very popular synagogue where the community from Midwood and Mapleton come down to pray. Crossing Benson Avenue now. So you have just a lot of different ethnic groups along this avenue. I probably left out Muslim community, Russian community. I mean, any community that you could think of that lives in New York lives along this avenue at one point or another. So here's some personal history. I used to live in this building right here. And if you dig into my YouTube channel far back enough, you'll see some videos that I shot right out this window right here. I used to live right above the driveway port right there. I lived there for 11 years. I was living here when I started doing some of the walk videos. Although I do have to say, I was doing, and I found some archived footage, but it looks really bad because it's from way back when there was no stabilization on the cameras. But I used to do walk videos live on a site called Justin.tv, which became Twitch. And I have a couple of those archived walks, which is kind of interesting. Maybe I'll post them up onto YouTube one day. They are heavily bouncy. I was using a cell phone back in the day called the LG Dare. So, you know, and the quality is really bad, but we're going back like 2008, 2009 time frame. So here we are at 86th Street, and I think what we're gonna do is kind of stop here and just look around, because this is probably the busiest this walk is gonna be. Because once we get back into the residential area, it's gonna get quiet again. So yeah, I don't need to really describe 86th Street. We all know 86th Street. As we get down here by 85th, there's some eateries. We got a takeout place, a grocery store. There's a pharmacy across the street with a pizza place. And then it'll go right back into residential area. That was for our rail fan community. We definitely have some train fans that watch this channel, so that was a D train. So you can see all the local businesses over here, and then across the street you have the cleaners, you have the pizza place over there, and you got a laundromat, pharmacy. As you can see, it's still windy. We are still getting hit with some pretty good winds, but not as strong as when we were a few blocks down. As we get down along 21st Avenue, you're gonna have, you know, just some, you know, the houses will change back and forth. You know, you'll have some of these apartment buildings, these apartment dwellings, then you'll have some private family homes. Then you'll have apartment buildings again, then you'll have private family homes. So it's gonna go back and forth. I'm gonna jump in front of this guy. Well, he's turning anyway. But yeah, the makeup of, as far as the residential properties down here, is always changing. We may also notice how the demographics will change as we get deeper onto 21st Avenue. All right, I'm gonna cut this guy because he's just sitting there. And you can see here, they're tearing down a lot of these big homes that are in the area because they wind up, you know, redeveloping the land into those big apartment condos. For instance, like this house right here, if it were to go up for sale, they might most likely tear this house down. All right, we're gonna cross over. I guess we'll kind of zipper across the streets every once in a while to kind of get a different look. There's some big gated houses over here. You know, yesterday after I did that walk, I mean, it was pretty hot yesterday, and today is no exception with the added humidity. But the breeze definitely helps. And when I finish the walk, even though the walk is finished on camera, I still got to hike back into my area. So, you know, I have to do this twice. I have errands I have to run, so I figured, you know what? I got to run those errands in that area, so I'll do this walk. And then on my trip back, I'll do the errands. We are on 79th Street. As you can see across the way over there, how it jumps back into apartment buildings. I had mentioned that earlier. 21st Avenue, it'll go back and forth. You'll have some private family homes, then you have some of these 3-family bricks, and then you'll have some big apartment buildings. And it's just so ununiform down here. So that's the way it is on 21st Avenue. Now, this was the first street I wanted to mention. Like I said earlier, we're going to be bordering some neighborhoods. So down here, a couple of blocks, actually the next block down, is Bay Parkway and Kings Highway, Cethelo Park, and that is where Gravesend starts. So we're right now up on the border of Gravesend. And like I stated earlier, when we get to the ends of the walk, we'll be in Mapleton, but we are right up on the border of Midwood. We're gonna cross back over because I see the light is about to go red, so I'll just take the light here. So this area is generally quiet. Not much happens on these on this avenue. Highly residential. Crime stats are low as far as, you know, safety. Well, I would say safety is high, crime is low here. It's a good neighborhood to live in. It could be expensive, depending on where you want to rent. Rent prices are definitely not like you would expect, though, in parts of New York City or like Park Slope. You could definitely get an apartment down here easily for about between $1,700 and $2,000. For like a 1-bedroom. 2 bedrooms might cost you more, but if you shop, you can find bargains down here. You know, it's all about shopping around. It is not unheard of to still find cheap apartments. It's hard, but you could still find them. I live in one. I live in a really nice big apartment right along the coast, and the rent is very good. You just got to shop around, got to network, you got to talk to people. But yeah, it's a good place to live. It's close to all the trains. I mean, we just passed the D train, but we're also going to be passing the N line. And we're going to be ending where the F line is. And we're on Bay Ridge Parkway, 75th Street. It looks like the high winds have survived so far, this far down. I should just stay on this side, man. The shade on this side is great. I don't know if I want to go back in the sun. Just like yesterday, it's one of those days where unless you got to be out, everyone's going to be inside. It is still gusty down this far down. I'll tell you, walking back for me is going to be it's going to be a chore, man. You can see here I got some little wind chimes and stuff. You can see them moving around. A little weather vane here. Now, as we get into this part of the neighborhood, the demographics down here is heavily Italian, Russian, and Jewish. That's not to say there aren't other ethnics down here, but I'm just giving you the majority. The majority is Italian, Russian, and Jewish down here.
You're gonna do measurements.
Cool. We are crossing 72nd. I have not been giving out the crosswalks, but that was 72nd Street. Some small two-family homes across the street. I would say that some of them are one family because a lot of these houses don't rent out to strangers. So we have one family living in the whole house. We are passing another school. Might not have noticed it, but we had passed a school sometime back over on 85th Street underneath that scaffolding. So this is the second school we're passing. PS 247. Last day of school happened a few weeks ago. I always love watching when they put the, like, it'll be like in a week or two. They're gonna put up the first date of going back to school. That must be like so depressing as a kid to see that. I would hate to live right around the corner from my school or right across the street from my school. You wake up one morning on August 1st and it says, first day back to school, September 6th or something like that, and you're like, what? Now as an adult, I love it. So. Bay Ridge Avenue. Yes, Bay Ridge Avenue goes this far down, so does Bay Ridge Parkway. I've always felt that south of 13th Avenue, forgot to turn my camera around, south of 13th Avenue, they should just put the streets back to 75th Street and 69th Street, because we are nowhere near Bay Ridge. But hey, that's when they renamed the streets, that's what they did, so. And the wind now, as we've gotten down here, is less sustained. So there's still wind down here, but now it's choppy and more gusty. So there's definitely a difference as we've gotten down here to 68th Street as compared to the coast, where it was like getting hit. It was like getting stuck in a wind tunnel. You know, a lot of these houses, we're back to, you know, small brick houses again. So yeah, we keep going back and forth. Some of these houses might need a little green tailoring or something, but you can see that as we get closer to the end of our walk, the houses have pretty much got more of a private family feel into it. You know, there's some of these walk-up bricks here. There might be 4 apartments in this building alone, easily. Front back, you know, front back on the first floor, front back on the top floor, and then I get notice in the basement there's some blinds, so. .66th Street. This is always a weird block to look at. A lot of the houses and property are far back. If you notice, a lot of these houses, they're pushed pretty far back from the sidewalk. All right, so we are about to cross 65th Street, and we're also about to leave Bensonhurst officially, and we will be crossing into Mapleton. So Mapleton's one of those neighborhoods that when you tell people I live in Mapleton, Brooklyn, or they got a pharmacy in Mapleton, for, you know, like, it's just one of those people kind of like, there's no such thing as Mapleton. And there is. Because right now we just entered it. We are in Mapleton. And if you remember earlier, we on 78th Street, we were bordering Gravesend. So if you come down this block now, if you go down 64th, a couple of blocks, you're going to be in Midwood. Midwood's southern border is kind of crooked, diagonal, so it's actually cut in front of us. So when we get to the ends of the walk, that's where you would end up in Midwood. What they would say the south side of Midwood. Now this is where the N line runs underground. Let me get across the street so you can see better. So there's the N line. If you come up on this block right here, and we'll take a little detour. So those of you who know about the N line, I always like to call it an exposed subway. It's basically a subway but without a ceiling. But you can see right here, this is the siding of the fences along the top of the N line. I can hear a train actually under us. So right now where I'm walking, the trains actually go underneath here. There's a tunnel that's been blown out right underneath where I'm walking and then turns and goes that way. And if I'm not mistaken, the next stop is Kings Highway. So 18th Avenue, and then from 18th Avenue to the Kings Highway stop is where we're walking above right now. We're on 63rd Street, still walking. 37 minutes, I believe this says on my screen. You can see the houses here are a little bit more smaller, a little spaced out. Some nice clouds out there. You can see the winds down here, so that's why I was expecting it much further back, but it is windy down here, but you can see that it's not as bad. Most of the wind has been cut down. And it is, now I don't have that relief anymore, you know, I'm like dying right now. It's like so hot. (62nd Street). So we still got a little bit of a walk here. Now we're going to be walking into an area. Eventually, at the very end, is going to be a cemetery on both sides of us. So it's going to really open up. Now I can already see the ends of the walk from here. What I see is I can see Dahill Road crossing through 21st Avenue, where 21st Avenue ends. So I got my eyes on a building about 10 blocks down. But before we even get to that cut, we're going to be walking. We're going to have a cemetery on both sides of us. It's kind of weird because, like, you know, you're walking, you know, in a residential area, and then all of a sudden all the houses go away and it's just a whole bunch of tombstones. And you can see how it's getting windy again, and that's because it's opening up down here. Oh, I just noticed something. 1 second. This happens sometimes. All right, let's see if I can do this again. There we go. My camera was acting a little funny. I wanted to give a look at this building. Bad camera work, what can I say? It's very hard to see this screen on this camera. 60th Street. We pretty much stayed on this side of 21st Avenue the whole time. Generally, I like to cross back and forth, but you know, it is what it is. This is a nice house. This is a very nice house. So let's look at this house. It looks like it was newly renovated or built. I'll have to check Google Street. There's like a feature in Google Street where you could like go back in time. I even have a video where I walked down here a few years ago. I don't ever remember seeing this house before. Very nice house. Building, house, whatever you want to call it. Very nice flower work. This is a nice house. This house has been here. And it is windy again. Now, one thing down here, man, there is the Hasidic community down here does their own police patrolling and stuff. So you're gonna see a lot of cameras on a lot of the poles. You can see there's one camera right there, and it has an NYPD sticker on it. But they work in conjunction with the private police that are down here in this area. There's some nice houses that just recently got renovated. We're about to hit the cemeteries. This is a house that's getting renovated right now. All right, we are coming to the end of the walk. We're on 57th Street, and at this point now, we will not be crossing any cross streets. We will be walking through the cemetery area here. And we'll be ending the walk right at the end there. Now out there across the cemetery, well, let's look at these houses. So you got a lot of these brick walk-ups. Look at the doors. Look at, like, it's kind of weird, those doors. There's just like no, it's just strictly, they built the frame perfectly to walk into the houses. Like a slim brick frame for the doors. All right, so like what I was saying, out there, you could see the F line is out there. If I'm not mistaken, that is the Bay Parkway station or the Avenue. I always forget the station over there. It could be the Avenue I or... yeah, it's one of those stations. So this is a cemetery that we are walking by. And these cemeteries are big and pretty much split right through 21st Avenue. So you got a cemetery on the other side there. Out there is McDonald Avenue with the F train, and that's pretty much Midwood out there on the other side of the cemetery and on the ends of this road. Hear a train out there. Looks like the F train's coming in. Very quiet down here. There's nothing. Well, a cemetery, so obviously it's quiet. As you can see, there is nothing down here. So we just walked the complete length of 21st Avenue. So you all have graduated from Walker's Academy for 21st Avenue. So even if you've never been in Brooklyn and you've never been on 21st Avenue, you could tell people you know 21st Avenue because you just walked the entire length with me. And yeah. Not as windy down here. No relief. Ugh, it's like hot. And just as I said that, big gust of wind came in. Look at that. Ask and you shall receive. Well, here we are at Dahill Road. This is where 21st Avenue ends. Now, eventually I'll do some more walks beyond this so you guys and girls can see what's down here. But just to give you a little idea what's down here, you got McDonald Avenue, which is right on the other side of these buildings. If you come down here to Dahill, Dahill kind of cuts a couple of times, like it stops and it begins again, but this will take you down into Borough Park. I think the next intersection is somewhere over by Avenue J, but Avenue J is definitely an avenue I'd like to walk down for the channel because that's an interesting avenue. I'll take it into Midwood, but this is Midwood right here. Like if I cross the street, I'm in Midwood. You want to do it? Let's do it. We'll cross the street and we'll say we're in Midwood. So we just walked through 3 neighborhoods. There you go. We're in Midwood. So that is it. I am ending the walk. Thanks for tagging along. Stay hydrated. Keep cool. For those of you that you never know, somebody from Arizona might be watching that used to live in New York. I feel for you. I think the temperature is supposed to go up to 115 at some point this weekend. But this is it for me. So thanks for tagging along. And we'll see you on the next walk.